Oh boy, who Lord, everybody. I have to wait until some more people show up until I drop I was about to say exponentially important information, but it's actually not that important. Um, Honestly, it's more of a meme than anything, but it's about the recent development in the star survival plan. I've come across some information that has vastly updated my understanding of the situation as it is. And I want to talk about that when more people have shown up to the stream. So once I get some people in the chat, I'll start explaining the information at hand. It says we've got two people so far. Swag in the chat says give the tea. Um, I don't think I've ever seen you. I don't think I've ever seen you on the live streams before. Maybe you've been like watching them without being in the chat. Um, so Umaru-chan Moe. No, it's not about Umaru-chan Moe, unfortunately. Um, I did some research into what managing that website would cost, and I can't afford anything like that. So a few days ago, I want to say it was a few days ago, I think it was about a week ago at this point, I did a live stream talking about survival plans, plans for the future, what I was going to do. And I've spent some time reflecting on the various ideas that I came up with in the time that I created that stream, and I considered the implications of each of those specific plans. And at this point, I think the relative framework by which I was working at, with just working on more like written stuff and trying to grow the audience of this channel, as well as seeking more opportunities in the realm of translation as I continue to get better at Japanese, I think is generally in the right direction. However, and this is a big however here that I've more or less had to come to terms with. There's only so much time. There's only so much time that I'm going to be allowed here. And moreover, I'm going to have to make money somehow if simply freelancing and doing stuff online doesn't make money. And so I've considered the options that I have for someone like me to have as much freedom as I possibly can and to be able to continue doing more or less whatever I want without having to, spend strenuous amounts of time in college, because that's one of the main things that I've been avoiding. I've been trying to figure out how can I get out of America relatively quickly, have financial stability, and also not have to go to college because I just don't want to, you know? And I did a little bit of research and I found out, let me see, let me pull this up. Let me find I believe it's called the TLF certificate, I believe is what it's called. TEFL is the certification that people need to teach English in certain countries. Now, certain countries, what they do is that they will not hire you on the basis that you don't have a college degree. However, there are certain countries that will hire you if all you have is the TFL certificate, which you don't need to go to college to get. You don't need to go to college to get this certificate. And I was thinking of the logistics of how this would work. You know, the likelihood of me getting hired somewhere else, doing work like that, with just this certification. And the more research that I did as to how you get the certification, the sort of classwork and class hours that you would have to give in order to get this certification, in order to teach somewhere else without having a college degree. Because a lot of countries, like a lot of more developed countries especially, require you to have a college degree in order to teach. You won't get a work visa unless you have that. But the more research I did, I found a place. I found a place that I've been interested in for a long time called Kazakhstan. Now, this is a Plan C. This is Plan C territory right here. We're getting into real infinite star Plan C territory. If all else fails, this is a relatively easy thing to do. Is if I have my teaching certificate that says you can teach English not as a literal teacher, but relatively, professionally teach English without an English degree, right? The TEFL certificate. And I did some research into English teaching jobs in Kazakhstan, and how that works over there. And generally, the information that I found would suggest that I wouldn't need a degree or anything like that. I would just need to be an English speaker with this certificate. And I was like, okay, that sounds too good to be true. That can't possibly be real. It can't possibly be that easy. But the more research that I did, the more of it suggested that there have been tons of people who have done this, not specifically in Kazakhstan, because it seems like most people don't want to go to Kazakhstan for whatever reason. And so there's a lot of people around the world who have done this, especially in like places like Thailand and stuff. They'll just save up money that they've made in the United States doing like a minimum wage job or something. And then they'll have this certificate, and then they'll go over to Thailand to teach English or something and make a whole bunch of money doing that. So whenever I hear something like this, whenever I encounter an idea like that, I tend to be pretty skeptical of it, because I don't like the idea of something being too good to be true. Usually, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. But the more that I was looking into it, into how this certificate works, into the logistics of getting a job in another place, looking into the specific place that I was considering going to on those specifications, the more the information just lined up that I would be able to do it. And so at that point, the question was not, whether or not I'm going to do this thing. It was is this a sustainable plan to be able to have on the back burner if everything else, doesn't succeed. And, I was thinking, like, if I could just be, there teaching people English, and I wouldn't have to go to school for that, I would just have to get certified. And I could spend enough time making money doing that while I sort my life out and I figure out what the fuck I want to do. I feel like that would be a much more sustainable plan than just relying entirely on making more money on the internet, because I know I can do that if I work hard enough. But that's one plan. You have to have multiple plans. And if the time comes in which this, still isn't doing very well, and I have to go somewhere, I might have debts to pay off and stuff. Well, I certainly will. There's something, I got to do something, And so out of all of the quote unquote survival ideas that people have given me in the chat, that I've come up with, that I've researched, this one seems like one of the most foolproof, or at least like common sense types of things to do, because you don't have to go to college for it. You just have to get certified, and then you just need to get a job set up over there, which there's a lot of English teaching jobs that you can get over there. You just have to get one set up, and then, get the visa sponsored by that company in order to just enter the country. And then I would just work that way, and be able to spend some time in the beautiful landlocked country of Kazakhstan. I think it would be nice. I think it would be nice to at least make vlogs in, even if I didn't like working with kids or something. Like, even if I didn't like teaching people English. It would at least be money that I could make, you know? It wouldn't be as bad as working like a construction job or something. It wouldn't be as bad as like working at a fast food place or one of these other shitholes. I would be able to go to somewhere that I've wanted to go to for a long time. That I would be able to like get a change of pace, get a change of environment, and also be able to do work that I wouldn't have any debts on. You know, I wouldn't have to deal with the idea of going to university for 4 years just to get a working visa like I would have to in Japan. Because that's always one of the big issues with staying in Japan long term is that once my student visa runs out, it's like what would I do from that point, you know? Other than try and get a spousal visa, which I really don't want to do. And so if I didn't have a bachelor's degree, I just wouldn't be able to be a worker in Japan. And so going to go teach English in some place like Kazakhstan for long enough to be able to live there and pay off the debts that I've accrued, and to eventually make enough money to get a bachelor's degree in something, to be able to go back to Japan or go somewhere else. Now that's really long-term thinking right there. But the general idea that I have at this point is to do what I can to make more money online and to get a certificate to be able to teach English somewhere, you know? And the reason I choose Kazakhstan specifically is because it's probably the most interesting country that has these very like low restrictions. Like there's a low barrier to entry, essentially. Where like with most countries, if you want to teach English there, like if I wanted to teach English in like Japan or South Korea or one of these places, usually you're going to have a degree of some kind, or you're just not a worker. You know, you don't have a worker's visa if you're operating without a college degree. And so there's a lot of countries where you don't need one. You just need this certification. But most developed nations have that policy in place, that general practice that you would need a degree. And so I'm looking at this, okay, Central Asian, landlocked country, kind of poor, kind of not. Not a lot of people even seem to know that the country exists. Really beautiful looking architecture. I mean, they speak Russian there. Russian's not very hard to speak. You know, and if you can teach English there with a pretty low barrier to entry, then it seems like a fairly rational plan. So that was the plan C that I came up with, which I'm probably most likely going to end up enacting if I can't figure anything else out. Because right now I've been trying to just build like a breadth of as many plans as possible. Many plans for survival that cost the least amount of effort. And by effort, I mean going to college or having to take SATs and something like that. And allow me to essentially travel out of America. Because I don't want to stay in America forever. I say this a lot, but I really want to get out of the USA. And so a plan that would allow me to maximize the potential of leaving the US without potentially having to go back very often. Going back as little as possible is really what I want to do, because I just want to leave. I don't want to be here, man. I really don't want to be here. I just want to get out. So I think this plan makes sense, just because there's not a lot that I would have to do to actually actualize it, you know. That was about it. I guess I titled the stream "I Found Valhalla" specifically because when I was reading or when I was looking at like I should probably clarify this, is that I spent the last like 5 days constantly listening to Orthodox music and reading about Central Asian countries. And it was while also trying to figure out, it was while trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life because play Valhalla right now. I don't want to play Valhalla. Let me show you some fucking pictures of this place. Let me show you some pictures of this place. It's so cool. But yeah, like I've figured out at this point, I've more or less figured out that you have to have multiple plans in mind because if you just have like one plan and you put all of your eggs in that one basket, then you're just going to die. You have to you on the Wikipedia page it says Kazakhstan has some serious human rights abuses. I don't really care. um, yeah, no, I know that they have a lot of problems with like freedom of speech and stuff. Is that people go to jail for criticizing the government, and there's also what's the other problem that they have over there? There's a lot of just like authoritarian stuff going on. I don't care. It's not my problem. I mean, oh my god, some journalist got arrested. Oh no. I don't care. um, it's not my problem. Uh, Let me see. Fix the housing crisis in Savalbard right now. What am I gonna do? Am I gonna build a house there? I'm confused. I thought you weren't scared of death. I only live by one plan. Plan A. Don't have a plan B. I mean, I don't think it's about being afraid of dying necessarily. It's about not wanting to die. If you know, if you want to live, if you want to live a longer life, then it's generally recommended to try and be like careful and to have multiple plans in mind. So if you only have one plan and you put all of your eggs in one basket, well, if the basket falls down and all of the eggs break, then what are you going to eat? You know? Um, do you know the movie Barat? Yes, Barat's a funny movie because the scene where the main character is in Kazakhstan was actually filmed in Romania. It was filmed in a gypsy village in Romania, and so that I always thought that scene was funny because they didn't even get the country that they were talking about correct. Um, why would you criticize the glorious Kazakhstani government anyways? I mean, I wouldn't have a reason to. Like, what would I do? Oh my god, guys. Oh my god. They're like killing people here. It's like, I don't care. I don't know any of these people. Oh yeah, some fucking Muslim gets shot today. Who cares? Who cares? I don't understand. Why do people care about stuff like that? Like, I'm genuinely like this isn't me trying to be like a contrarian or trying to be like a pretentious guy or anything. I genuinely don't understand why people care about human rights abuses. Like it's difficult for me to wrap my head around it. And maybe it's just me being like a weird, like insane guy. Uh, but like, you know, like I living in an authoritarian regime doesn't seem inherently bad to me. Like a lot of people would say, "Oh, that's just a terrible thing," you know? The fact that I have to use like a VPN is terrible. Ooh, scary, scary. But like to me, I don't really see why that's a thing to be afraid of, you know? Um, Based in Kazakh build. It's called living in America with human rights abuses every day and getting used to it. Yeah, that's pretty much true. Like if you live in America and you have the news on 24/7, or if you know what's really going on in America that they won't talk about on the news, then you pretty much just, and I mean it's living in the world in general too. Like like I feel like once you get rid of that like blanket of comfort that our government puts on you that says you live in a free country and you're totally safe and all this other nonsense. Um, I feel like once you realize that that stuff isn't true and you become black pilled, then the world as a whole just seems really dangerous. And then you just kind of accept that fact. Like once you accept that the world as a whole is just really dangerous and kind of out to get you in a lot of ways, you also realize at the same time that it's actually not that dangerous. Like when I traveled the entire US, I had this perception about the United States that the United States is going to be the most dangerous thing in the world or something going everywhere. And when I lived in Oklahoma, I lived in a town that was very close to one of the most crime-ridden towns in America, which is called Lawton, Oklahoma. I've drove through there several times. I lived right near there. I actually lived in a town that it wasn't super close to it, but it was pretty close, called Shawnee. And there were a lot of people who lived at one point in Lawton who were in Shawnee. I would go out in Shawnee at nighttime. I would walk for miles at nighttime. And I lived in a trailer park too, which had literally, like, there was a guy next door who was beating his wife in the trailer next door. That's not a joke. That's not an exaggeration. And so I would walk. I would walk all the time living in Oklahoma. I was pretty close to this town that was, one of the most dangerous cities in the U.S. And when I lived in Las Vegas, I was either constantly on the threat of being homeless or just literally homeless at that time. In certain parts of Las Vegas that were very dangerous. North Las Vegas, you always saw on the news, gang shooting today, gang shooting over here, over there. There was this real sentiment, especially walking at nighttime, that it was not a safe place to be in because all of the police presence was paid for to be at the Strip. The companies paid for extra support at the Strip, and so there wasn't as much of an incentive to, protect the lower class parts of it. And so there was always this real sense of danger. And I mean, the same was true in a lot of places in New York. Like when I was there was a certain period of time in New York where I was literally just walking around the city by myself, just walking all over the place by myself. And that certainly didn't feel safe. But it doesn't matter to me that much. It feels like with as unsafe the world is, with as how many bad things that can happen, the only thing you can do is just kind of accept that. You just kind of have to accept the reality that something bad could happen at any point. I've got on so many buses with like people that were like shouting at other people on the bus and like, people who looked violent when I was with them either in the bus station or just on the bus. And I spent time with these people all over the country, people who were very, very rude, that I had to sit next to, absolute assholes, people to a lot of people would consider scary, to have to be in a public forum with these people all the time. And I don't know. I feel like once you just go around the entire country and see everything that's here, it feels less dangerous, like on the media, they show constant shootings. Like the last shooting that happened was, I believe, 12 hours between one another. It was in Dayton, Ohio, and then El Paso, Texas, I think. They happened 12 hours between one another. They were so close and succinct. Was it 12? I think it might have actually been shorter. But either way, it was pretty quick. And I ever since like I was like a little kid, I feel like I've kind of been trained to constantly be seeing different shootings. Because I remember when Sandy Hook happened. Now let me look this up. Sandy Hook was in 2012, right? Let me Google this. When did Sandy Hook happen? Yeah, Sandy Hook happened December 14th, 2012. Okay, so I was right on the money with that one. I was 10 years old. I was 10 years old when Sandy Hook happened. And so I remember they spent like a week talking about the Sandy Hook shooting on the news, and the news was constantly on in my house. It was just always on. They spent a week talking about it, and I remember I mentioned to my dad at the time, "Are they still talking about that?" Why are they still talking about that? And both my mom and my dad looked at me really confused because they thought this is a massacre. This is terrible. Of course, we're going to be talking about that for a week. That just didn't register in my mind because at that point, as a 10-year-old, hearing this constant coverage of Sandy Hook, I had already heard about a lot of other shootings at younger stages in my life. And it never really occurred to me that they weren't just normal, that that wasn't something that just happens in the United States, right? Um, and so I feel like a lot of people in my generation, especially on the younger side of my generation, were just sort of built with either this inherent fear or this inherent apathy towards the idea of violence in the USA because it's just so commonplace as the media puts it. But when you actually travel the USA and you spend time in a lot of scandalous types of areas, you begin to notice that it's not that bad. And looking at the crime statistics around the world, looking at people's general experiences that they share from around the world, I don't think around the world it's that much different. As long as you're careful, as long as you use common sense, and you have the acceptance in your mind that something could go wrong, then there's the chance for everything to go right as well. You just have to actually, do something. Um, and so I guess that's how my view of it was kind of shaped. It was a combination of going out and then having experience in the real world, and then also just being exposed to so much media that my views on it just kind of got warped as time went on. Let me see here. Valhalla, are you a Norse god star? I wish I was a Norse god. I don't think I have. I don't think I have any Nordic blood. I don't want to take one of those dumb meme genetics tests because a lot of the time those are wrong and cost way too much money. But I don't think I'm Norse at all. I have a lot of Irish and Scottish stuff, uh, and German as well, and pretty big Jewish stuff. Um, 12 or 13 hours. Yeah, that's what I thought. Have you heard of Negative XP's song Hikikomori? Think I think I've heard that. I don't remember. Um, Looking pretty good in that lighting there. Thank you. Oy vey. Is he saying oy vey because I said I was Jewish? Yeah, my great grandfather was a German Jew. He was literally a Jewish German person. And then he settled down with this other Jewish woman in the United States. And then they had my granddad, who was also a Jew. And I was a Jew for a while, religiously. Just because I wanted to partake in part of our cultural history as a family. So I was a Jew for a little bit. I'm not a Jew anymore. My mom's not Jewish. She was just a normal Christian. I through Theo in the chat says dropped. Yeah, you gotta unsubscribe and dislike. I understand. But yeah, my mom was just like a normal Christian. But she's an atheist now. My dad is also an atheist. But so most like my Jewish heritage comes primarily from his side of the family, but his mom was Catholic, if I recall correctly. And so his dad was Jewish, but his mom was Catholic. And if I recall correctly, I don't remember if I'm remembering the entire story the way that it went. I'd have to ask, but why am I talking about family history stuff? Jewish agenda alert. Yeah, no, I'm red pilling all of you with my menorahs or whatever. But to explain to the positive what I was talking about is that basically earlier in the stream, just to update you on what I more or less what I figured out, is that There's a lot of countries around the world. Star of David, yes. As someone else on another live stream made that joke, and I fucking died. Um, but more or less, what I figured out was that the TEFL certificate, um, it was essentially what it is that it's like a teaching English certificate that you can use to get jobs in other countries to teach English. You don't need a college degree to do it, basically. And I was like, okay, teaching English doesn't need a college degree, and I can immediately get a work visa in certain countries if I just set up a job with a company. So I thought, okay, that that idea, like that plan, is inherently way more stable than everything else that I've been talking about. And so I felt like it was a good plan B to have. It was a good general praxis to get stuff done. The country that I think would be the easiest to do this in is a place called Kazakhstan. Uh, he is actually a Jewish disinformation agent used to corrupt the minds of the base NEETs and Hikis. Yeah, I mean that's basically what I've been doing. That's basically what my YouTube channel has been for however long now. Uh, the truly enlightened NEETs. Yes, I've this section of the population that just needs to be corrupted by Jewish ideas. I've come to turn them into my minions. Uh, I'm a I am a Jewish NEET who's corrupting normal people by going to Muslim Kazakhstan. Let's just let's just take in the multiculturalism here. You know, diversity is our strength and all that stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Mm. But yeah, I thought that was a good idea. Listen to Negative XP's Hikikomori. It's really good. It's 1 minute long. I uploaded it on my channel. It's the based NEET's anthem. Yeah, let me look this up. I'll look this up right now. Very good and diverse. Nice. Yes. Negative. Let me listen to this live on stream. I think I've seen this before. Have I seen this? Oh, I actually found your channel when I Googled it too. Make Israel great again. Yes.
I think we should look at yourself in the mirror sometimes and say, look, what am I doing? Why am I this way?
I relate.
You need a kick in the ass once in a while.
How does I3Theo have 124 subscribers? What does he do? Hell yeah! Hell yeah! This is awesome. Hell yeah! This is good. I approve. Star seal of approval. You get the Star of David seal of approval. This is good. Very good. I like it. I like how short the song was. Like how it just begins with like with someone just saying vaguely critical things for like 26 seconds, and then all of a sudden it's just like a combination between like a distorted punk song and this type of thing. Thanks for linking that awesome Hobo Johnny song some time ago. Yeah, I'm always happy to get more people into Johnny the Hobo's music. He's very good. Or just like Pat the Bunny's music in general is really good. But Love Songs for the Apocalypse is one of my it was my favorite album for a long time. But now I think it's just one of my favorite albums. I don't know what my favorite album is anymore. Just because I've listened to so much more music at this point that difficult to tell, especially because I've listened to so much that I'll forget certain albums that meant a lot to me. It's difficult to say which one's my favorite, but Love Songs for the Apocalypse has consistently been in like my top five. It's a great album. Johnny Hobo, good guy. Um, what was I? There was something more that I was going to do. Ever listen to Andrew Jackson Jihad? I am a big fan. I am a very big fan of Andrew Jackson Jihad. It's great, great music. I like them a lot. Um, I'm gonna have to introduce them to the hordes of Muslims that I'm going to educate with English speaking skills. You just you wait. Just you wait. I will be the great Kazakhstani reformer that introduces all of the Muslims to folk punk music. Just you wait. They're pretty great. Yeah, no, I like them a lot. Good band. Good band. Uh, have you listened to ISIS trap music? I've never listened to ISIS trap music. I've listened to a band called ISIS. Is that there's an album called Oceanic by the band ISIS that's really good. It's basically like a post-rock record. But yeah, no, I've never listened. I don't has ISIS made rap? Have they attempted to corrupt the youth by making rap music? I need to curb this influence by indoctrinating all of the Muslims into Eastern Orthodox. That's my goal in life now. You have no idea. I've literally been listening to Eastern Orthodox church music for the last like 5 days on repeat, just over and over and over again. I've just been constantly listening to Eastern Orthodox church music. I don't know what's happened to me because I've been in a periodic state of waking up, going back to sleep, waking up and going back to sleep for a few hours for pretty much every single day for the last like 3 days or 4 days. And I've barely been awake. Like, I've actually just been waking up, going to sleep, waking up, going to sleep so many times that I can't actually remember how many times I've done it because I've been doing it for so often now. And so in the time that I've been awake, I've just been constantly laying in my bed and listening to Eastern Orthodox church music. Very, very strange state of being to be in, I gotta say. But I mentioned that to a friend of mine, I think yesterday, and he was just baffled, like he was just confused. But I honestly, sometimes I really want to get into theology. Like theology as a study is really cool. Part of me wants to learn about it. But I feel like Eastern Orthodox Christianity has like the best aesthetics of any religion. If that religion took over the entire world, I would be completely I would be down. Theology or theology. I don't know what distinction you're making there. I mean, like the study of religion and stuff. You see here. There's probably. Oh, is he not over there? I guess he's not over there. I was trying to show you. I was trying to show you the dog. It looked like the dog disappeared. I don't know. I don't know what to do now. I just wanted to come on this stream to talk about Kazakhstan. You know, Kazakhstan is actually the most based. They're actually like the most based country on earth. Like unironically, like it's weird because I don't want to call a Muslim country based because that's like the last thing that I would expect to say. But like look at this shit, right? How is this not? How is this not the most based fucking shit? This is so cool. Oh my god, look at this. Like, how can you not look at this architecture and not think it's based? Yes, oil money. Yeah, pretty much all of their money is made from oil. Look at this. This is so based. And look at this building too. This building is awesome. Like you got this one. I really love just like gross displays of wealth. But now there was an image of Astana in the wintertime which they actually changed the capital city Astana to be named after their leader, who was like president for like 30 years or something. Let me find it. He was president for like 30 years. It was pretty insane. But he stepped down this year. Let me see here. Yeah, I want to some images of Kazakhstan in the snow. This shit is beautiful. F question mark. Saudi Arabia is based. Anyone who has a tattoo there needs an assessment for mental illness. Hell yeah. Yeah, no, theocracy is the future. Look at this fucking shit. This is amazing. I don't know why I think this is so cool. I really there's something fucking about the aesthetic of this country, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. It just it feels it's I don't even know how to explain it. That's the thing. Look at this. You like brutalist architecture. I love brutalist architecture. Brutalist architecture may be like my favorite thing in the world. Like it's just so beautiful. It's so cool. Yeah, brutalist architecture is like my favorite. It's like my favorite type of architecture just in the history of the world. Like it's really fucking cool. I love brutalist architecture. It's only good for techno dystopias. I mean, I think it just looks good in general, unless you want something that's just like super coherent aesthetically. I don't really care about that. Dubai got taller buildings though. Yeah, but Dubai is like in the middle of the desert and doesn't have snow. If you don't have snow, just get out. Like every country that doesn't have snow should be taken over by a country that has snow. And then they should like ferment the clouds to make them have snow again. They have artificial snow. Well, they also have like glow in the dark sand and stuff. That doesn't make it good. Let me see here. I want to try and find. I had some really based images. I had some really based images of Stan. I need to find here that I accrued through vast amounts of internet research. Let me see if I can find this. Because I have a special place where I post all of these things. Now, one of the main reasons I still use Discord is because it's good for archiving stuff. Like let me show you here, for example, right? This is the server that I typically use just to archive things. Look at this shit. This is so cool. Let me see here. Let me find another example. Like, look at this. Look at this. How does this not look cool? And then you got like pretty lights stuff going on like this. Just save them on your computer, I mean, like I can do that, but at the same time, having them in like, I don't know, maybe it's just autism. Look at this. This is so fucking cool. But like maybe it's just having autism, but I like organizing them on a Discord server. If you organize them on a Discord server, it makes it easier. Look at it. You got pyramids and stuff. You got giant balls running around. This was some kind of like Manhattan building type stuff. You got people on cycles going up to the Capitol. This one's very cool. I like this one a lot. People waiting for a bus. There's just like a random building here. Ooh, I forgot I had that one. This one's cool. I like this one. Autism is having 20,000 images organized on your hard drive. I mean, I do that as well. Cringe normal fagism is having them on Discord. I mean, I think that's just because you don't like Discord. Which I don't like Discord either, but it's also a very good backup to have things organized. Where like I didn't want to have to search through my entire image folder just to find these. See, this one's cool. I like this image a lot. Look at this shit. You've got all the snow. You've got like this big brutalist building with like an entrance into it. It's awesome. You got like a big Muslim thing going on here. This one's cool. I like this one. It can literally disappear at any moment on Discord. If someone deletes them, sure, but I think that's fairly unlikely. Look at this. This one's so cool. But yeah, that was most of that. Basically, what I'm saying is Kazakhstan is really cool in the wintertime and just in general. they have nice buildings, but it would be pretty easy to teach English there is basically the point of what I was saying. So that's something to do. That's at least a career opportunity of some kind. So there's less chances of dying at that point. Well, more chances of dying in the sense that I could get like a Muslim guy like stabbing me or something. There's like more chances of having money is the point. You got to speak their language though, don't you? Russian's not that hard to speak. But if you're teaching as like an English teacher, if you're teaching as an English teacher, the requirements for your level of Russian tend to be pretty low. Like there's a lot of English teachers who teach without even speaking the native language. I wouldn't want to be one of those people, but Russian's not very hard. I can speak a little bit. I can read the Cyrillic alphabet. I haven't studied it in a while, but if I was actually in the place, like if I was in the country, I feel like I wouldn't have any problem picking it up because it's not very hard. Like it's one of the easier languages. But yeah. Most Kazakhs don't even really speak Kazakh that well. Most of them just speak Russian. There's actually there's more Russian speakers in Kazakhstan than there are actual Kazakh speakers, which I find pretty funny. But they're trying to reinforce the use of Kazakh or something. Is that they have this 2025 campaign to change the script from Cyrillic to Latin and to reinforce the use of Kazakh. Don't know how well that's going to go. I'm probably not even going to be there by that point. So it's not even going to affect me that much. But I mean, as long as you speak at least some Russian, you'll be fine. And I mean, if it was like a life or death scenario, like if it was either I teach English or I die, I think I could give myself enough time to get better at Russian prior to going, which I think, you know, it's at least something. It's at least something that I can do. Versus just entirely focusing on freelancing and doing these videos. And so I've been trying to come up with ideas constantly lately. Like most of my life that I've been conscious of the idea that I'm probably not going to go to college or going there is going to be incredibly hard for me. Most of my life that I've been conscious of that fact and that I've known that I haven't wanted to get a job, which has been most of it, I've always been coming up with these various like schemes that I can do, you know, get out of jail free cards, things that I can do and sustain myself at. I may not be rich doing it, but I've been constantly coming up with what survival plans can I do within the relative framework of the life that I want to live or do already live. That's been the idea, trying to figure that out. And it's hard. Oh, I don't remember why I started this live stream. I think that's pretty much all I have to say. Is there more? Is there more I have to say? I don't think there's much more. Basically, I've been spending a lot more time trying to figure out what the hell am I gonna do, because I'm getting older, and it seems like each day that passes, my chances of being homeless or something get exponentially higher, and so I've had to figure out what I'm gonna do about that. Kazakhstan 2020.